It's a bit of a different video, because these are just going to be knots that you should learn. So pretty much this is all my shorts that I've made over the year on tying knots, and you're going to be watching them in one singular video. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get cracking, shall we? You've been coiling ropes all wrong, but today I'm going to show you how to do it correctly. Holding the rope in one hand, with your other hand you want to bring the rope over that hand, and then you want to turn around and head back over that hand. Each time you do it, leaving nice big loops. This pattern repeats itself until you're at the end of your rope. And now you know how to coil ropes correctly.
Do you want to know how to tie a figure of 8 knot? Here's how.
The first step is to create an eye with the rope. You bring the end of the rope around the back, and then with the end of the rope, you go ahead and put it through the top of your eye. You pull that tight, and you got yourself a perfectly good stopper knot, or figure 8. However, there is a figure of 8 extension. With your already tied figure 8, you go ahead and retrace your steps exactly the way you went to tie your figure 8. This knot can be used as a fastening knot, and you can tie it to many different things, such as railings or trees. I'm going to show you how to tie a reef knot. With your two ends of rope, you want to go ahead and do what you do with your shoelaces. I'm going to go left over right. Once I've done that, you just go ahead and do the opposite. It's going to be right over left. This simple knot is used for fastening two ends of rope together. Today we're going to show you how to tie a half hitch or a clove hitch. Let's go. Firstly, with the end of your rope, you want to go around the log 3 times. On the third one, it's a little bit different. You want to lift up the last 2 rounds, and you want to put the third one underneath it. And then you just pull that other end tight, and it will hold. Here we're going to tie the rope just the other way around. Again though, it's just around twice. And then on the third round, we're going to go underneath these 2 ropes here. Just like that. And that is your half hitch / clove hitch done. I'm going to show you how to do a square lashing. Firstly, you want to go around your log, over your log, and then around and under, and so on and so forth. Go around 3 times. That is as many as you'll need. Make sure it's tight, because for the next step, you'll want it to be tight. Now for the next step, you want to start going around the actual lashing itself, and that would be between both of your logs. You go around 3 times. Now this bit you really want to make sure it's tight, because this is what's going to hold the lashing together. From this point on, you just want to go ahead and tie a half hitch, and that will just hold itself. There's a link in the description on how to tie a half hitch.
Ever wondered how to tie your shoelaces? Here's how.
Find a shoe with laces and put your foot in it. First step is to twist your laces by putting one across the other and then feeding one of the laces underneath it. In this case, he's done it twice, because it's more secure that way. Pulling it tight, you want to start creating a bite with one of your laces. A bite is essentially a loop of rope, just like this. From here you want to go around the base of your loop. Between the origin of this lace and the other loop, you want to start making a loop. Now you want to thread that loop through the hole you created and pull it tight. Double knots is something else you can do. Holding your 2 loops, treat it like 2 pieces of rope, and like the beginning, cross them and then feed one under the other. Today I'm going to teach you how to tie 1 round turn and 2 half hitches. Let's go. Whatever you're tying this knot to, you want to round twice, as shown here. Then you want to create 2 half hitches, which is pretty much just a loop, and then you put the end through itself. As we are seeing here again, we go around the log twice. Now we tie one of our half hitches. And there's the second half hitch. Always tie 2 half hitches in this knot. Today I'm going to teach you how to tie a bowline. Let's go. Firstly, you want to cross your ropes over each other, right over left. Then, with the end of your rope, you want to go around the object that you're tying this knot to. From this point on, you bring the end of your rope through the eye and around the bottom right end of your rope, as shown here. Once you've done that, you just bring the end of your rope back through the eye of your bowline and you pull it tight. Now you can tie a great fastening knot. This is a difficult knot to learn. Don't worry, because
Let's learn how to tie a carrot bend.
the first thing to do is to take the end of your rope underneath the length of the rope as shown here. This creates an eye. After this step it really does get hard, so pay close attention. From here you want to go behind the eye, over the top of the other length of rope and behind the end. I'm pausing the video here because it gets very tricky. With the end of your rope you want to go through the top of the eye. If you remember that length of rope before that's behind the eye, go ahead and take your end of rope underneath it. And then you want to take it back out the top of the eye. Here I am doing it now. Once you're at the end of tying the knot, you can go ahead, get all the ends and pull them tight. This is a great knot for tying two ends of rope together. I'm going to teach you how to tie an anchor bend. Let's go! Whatever you're tying this knot to, you want to round twice, as shown here. With the end of rope, you want to go around the length of rope and then through those two holes, as shown here. If this is confusing for you, don't worry, because I'm about to show you again right now. Again, we can see we're going around twice whatever we're tying this knot to. We go around the longer end, and then we thread it through the two loops. We finish it off with a half hitch, making a good and secure knot. At any stage, if this got too hard for you to follow, don't worry, because
Let's learn how to tie a sheep bend.
now the first step for this knot is to create an eye, but do not cross these ropes over, leave them parallel with one another. You take the other end of your rope and you thread it through the eye, underneath the two ends, and then you take it underneath itself without going back through the eye. Pull that tight, you got yourself a nice sheep bend. It's a great fastening knot for two ends of rope. Hey, you should be coiling your ropes, part 2. Basically, you just fold the rope in half as many times as you want. You just keep halving it. For this rope it generally takes about 4 folds, then I put myself a nice stopper knot in here. This stops my coils from unraveling, hence the name, and it's a great way to coil your rope.
You're going to be learning how to tie a slip knot with this rope. Let's go.
What I'm doing in this part of the video you don't have to do. This is just my way of fastening the rope to the other piece of rope. This knot is primarily used on boats. Right here I'm making an eye or a loop, and I'm going to feed the end through that loop and pull it tight. Slip knots are generally 2 or more bites, so we're going to make another bite here. In the past I've tied slip knots that have 15 to 20 bites in them. When you want to untie it, you can just undo the end, release it, and then just pull it.
You've been folding your New Zealand flags incorrectly, but today I'm going to show you how to do it properly.
Now the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold the flag into thirds as I'm doing here. After you do that, you go ahead and you just fold the flag into thirds again, as I'm doing here. And from this point on, you just roll the flag up. Simple as that, everybody.
If you got any different ways to fold a flag, go ahead and comment on how to do it. Today I'm going to teach you how to tie a constrictor knot using this piece of rope. Let's go!
The first step with your end of rope is to go over or under the object you're tying this around. In this case I've gone over. With your end of rope you want to cross over the length of rope. I'll show you more closely here. You want to cross over the length of rope with your end of rope. Then you want to create a pinch with your other hand and then put the end of rope in between that pinch, and you can pull that tight and you got yourself a good knot. This knot is similar to the clove hitch, so why don't you go check that out. But in the meantime we're going to see how strong this is.
I actually don't trust the rope very much.
I don't actually trust the branch.
I don't trust the branch.
I can feel the branch tensing as you pull it.
Today I'm going to teach you how to put this rope on the knife handle. Let's get into it.
Make a loop up to the top of the blade like I've done here, and then go around like this. It's a bit hard to see right now, but I'll show you in a minute, just after this fast forwarded bit's out the way. This clip here is a great example of what you'll need to do 30 to 40 times. Just round and around. Now hopefully you have a loop in your rope just at the top of your handle. You want to feed your end through that loop, and then at the bottom of your knife, with the other end of rope, you can just pull that tight, and that will hold still.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a head stay knot. Let's go!
Begin by tying a reef knot. I've made a video on tying reef knots in the past, so go check it out. Then you just wrap your ends around, in this case, the trees. Then you bring your rope over and around itself, and you can tighten it. Then, with your first previous rounds, you want to go through, make a bite, and then bring the end of your rope through that bite and pull it tight.
I'm off the ground! I'm going to teach you how to tie a Canadian jam knot. Let's go.
On the end of your rope, you want to tie two pretzel-shaped stopper knot. Don't tie the pretzel knot, but pull the one on the very end of your rope tight, and then leave the other one rather loose. Make sure the knot is loose enough so you can re-thread the rope through it. Now you want to wrap your end around the object you're tying this to, in this case it's a tree. Sort of creating a big bite, you want to take the end and you want to thread it through that loose knot. Shimmy the knot down the rope to tighten it, in this case on the tree, and once it's close enough you can start pulling it. The end that you tied your stopper knot will actually start pulling into the knot as it tightens. That's when the stopper knot will stop it from slipping through.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a trucker's hitch knot. Let's go.
Your first step is going to be tying a slip knot. So with your rope you want to make two bites. Both of them should be relatively close to each other, and then with one bite you want to feed it through the other to make a loop like this. Now you want to get your end of rope and wrap it around whatever you're going to tie it around. For instance, in this case it's a tree. Then with your end of rope you want to take it through your big bite. Adjust where you're standing so you can tighten this more easily. So you've threaded it through, and now you're trying to pull your end of rope away from your bite. This in turn tightens it. This knot is cool because if I was pulling 10 pounds of pressure one way, it would translate to 20 pounds of pressure going back and tightening the knot. Once you're satisfied with how taut it is, you can make a bite, put it through the loop like this. Once you've put the bite through the loop, you want to bring your end, pull it tight, and then shimmy it down the rope and tighten it.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a taut line knot. Let's go.
Wrapping your rope around the tree is your first step. Then you want to cross your end over your length of rope and wrap it around twice clockwise. Then you want to bring the end back down towards its initial spot, and through that loop you've just created you want to bring the end through that. Pull it tight by shimmying it down the rope. Good strong knot.
You're going to learn how to tie the Alpine butterfly knot. Let's go.
As shown here, you want to loop your rope and then point the end away from you. With the length of the rope, you want to go around your hand 3 times. Grabbing the round in the middle, you want to go underneath the front one, and then over top the other 2. Once you're at the other end, you want to take it underneath the 2 rounds you've created. Grab the other 2 ends of ropes, pull it tight. You've got yourself a good Alpine butterfly knot.
Today I'm going to teach you how to tie the Zeppelin knot, or the infamous 69 knot.
To start tying this knot, you want to have your ropes parallel with one another. With the red rope, you want to curl the end underneath itself, and the yellow rope, you want to curl your end underneath itself, both of them facing outwards. With the red rope, put it on top. With the yellow rope from underneath, put the end through the top, and with the red rope, underneath to the top. Tighten it and you've got yourself a good knot for tying 2 ends of ropes together.
If you want to see me tie a knot and have a suggestion, you can put it in the comments. I'm going to teach you how to tie a taut line, but quick release. Let's go.
Crossing over the length of rope with your end, you want to bring the end of your rope clockwise around the length of your rope. Once you've done that twice, you want to bring it down underneath all of your knot tying, then bring your end underneath all of the knot tying, make a loop, and pull it tight. If this didn't make much sense to you, I've made a video on the taut line hitch already, it's in the description, you can go check out. But this is why the quick release version is better.
I'm going to teach you how to tie the Evenk hitch or the Siberian hitch with this piece of rope. Let's go.
Wrap your rope once around whatever object you're going to tie this knot on. With your free end, you want to bring it back to make sort of a bite. As shown here, twist it twice like it was rolling away from you. Make sure your loop is quite small when tying this knot. Put your loop underneath the length of rope. Then with that extra end, make a bite through that loop you've just created. That bit doesn't need to be tight. Just make sure it's sitting in there securely enough that it won't slip out. That's when you pull it tight. And this knot is a quick release, which is why I've got a loop. I'll show you how it works.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a Prusik knot. Let's go.
This knot is really only possible if you tie a loop. In this case I've used a reef knot. Coming from behind, you want to thread it through itself, and then you do that another 2 times. Here's the second time now. The only thing you'll need to worry about is keeping the knot tidy, because if it's not tidy and doesn't look like it does at the end of the video, you haven't done it correctly. And if it's not tidy, it might not work properly. So just make sure all the ropes are looking beautiful. And just like that, you've got a good Prusik knot. When it's pushed together, you can move it from side to side. And when you separate the centers, it stays put.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a Canadian jam knot quick release. Let's go.
The first step is to tie a figure of 8 with your rope, just like this. It's a pretty simple knot, but if you don't understand, there is a video in the description you can go look at. Now with the end of your rope, you want to start following back where you came from. This is going to create a loop that we can use. Flip the knot over, and then with the other end of the rope, you want to wrap it around whatever you're tying this to. If you remember that rope that started following itself back through the figure of 8, we're going to need to put our length of rope underneath that end. And then from here you want to shimmy it down towards, in this case, the tree. And don't pull the end out, and then you just tighten it. Back at the beginning we looped it back through the figure of 8. That's why.
This is a simpler way of tying your shoelaces. Part 2.
Holding in a lace in each hand, you want to cross them over, and then feed one underneath the other. Pulling it tight, you knot them like this. Now you want to create a loop in one hand and a loop in the other hand, making 2 loops. And using the principle from the beginning of the video, you want to cross them over, and then feed one underneath the other. And now your shoes are tied in a much more simple way.
I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a sheep bend.
This knot will only really work if you have a loop of rope that you want to tie another end of rope to. Now with your end of rope, you want to come in from underneath that loop, you want to circle around just like this as you're being shown, and then you want to pull the end through that little loop that you've created and pull that tight. And now you've got a good clove hitch.
That's how you tie a sheep bend. But if that didn't make sense to you, this is a bonus short, so stick around. I'm going to teach you how to untie some wacky ass knot that your friend might have tied because he's got no idea how to tie a knot. Let's just say your friend has put a really annoying knot like that into your ropes. You can't tie any knots around there. It's just like, oh, what is that? That's going to be like the spine. These are the necks here of the rope. So you have to choose one, and you want to break the neck, which would be forcing this down there. Now you want to bend these together like that, and this does take time and force. This bit will be fast forwarded. I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a marlin spike hitch.
With your piece of rope, you want to start it off with a loop just like this. You want to cross the loop just over the end of your rope like this, and then you want to pull that end through, so you've got a little bit of an eye or a bite, just like that. And that bite can be used to kind of tie around any object you want, while still having 2 free ends of rope.
So that's how you tie a marlin spike hitch, everybody. But if that didn't make sense to any of you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a barrel line knot really simply and easily.
It can be easier if you tie this knot around something, but it doesn't really matter either way. Now with the length of your rope in your left hand, you want to make a cross like this, or a loop. Feeding the end of your rope through, you want to go through around the length of your rope and then bring it back through, and then you can pull the length of your rope tight and you got yourself a good knot.
So that's how you tie a barrel line knot, everybody. But if that didn't make any sense to you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie 1 round turn and 2 half hitches.
You want to go around the object you're tying this to twice. After that, you just want to tie 2 half hitches, which is exactly what I'm showing you right now. And here's a second one. Always tie 2 half hitches.
So that's how you tie 1 round turn and 2 half hitches. But if that didn't make any sense to you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a carrick bend.
Pay close attention because this knot is complicated. So you want to make a loop just like this one here. Nothing different. Bringing your other rope into the equation, you pretty much want to put it behind the loop just like this, making sure that both ends are parallel with each other. Now you want to take your end over the top of your other end, bring it underneath one of the lengths here, then you want to go over the top of the loop, underneath the length, and then over the top of the other side of the loop, pull that tight, you've just tied your first carrick bend.
So that's how you tie a carrick bend, everybody. But if that didn't make any sense to you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie an anchor bend.
This knot is used for tying around things, like a tree for instance, so you will want to round twice. Then if you watch carefully you can see me tying a half hitch here, and then you want to tie another half hitch. And that's pretty much how you tie an anchor bend, there's nothing more to say.
For all the sailors out there, this is an anchor bend and that's how to tie it. But if that didn't make any sense to you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a square lashing.
Fastening your rope's end with a clove hitch to your object you're tying to is your first step. If you don't know how to tie a clove hitch, there's a video in the description. This video is sped up, but basically what you want to be doing is following the pattern that you're seeing here, round and about both of your objects you're tying this knot to. Once you've done that 3 times, you want to start rounding your knot, kind of tightening it in this sort of pattern that you're about to see here. Again, you want to do that 3 times, and once you've done that 3 times, you can pull it tight. And then you can finish off your entire lashing with another clove hitch.
So that, everybody, is how you tie a square lashing with rope. If that didn't make any sense to you though, this is how you tie a clove hitch.
You will want to tie this knot around something, but this knot is very good for fastening ends of ropes. So crossing around and over, like this, to make that sort of crossing kind of pattern with your end of rope, and then you want to pinch it, and then put your end of rope through that cross you've just created, pull that tight, and you got yourself a good clove hitch.
And that's how you tie your clove hitches. But if that didn't make any sense to you, then I'm going to be teaching you how to tie a reef knot.
With a piece of rope in each hand like this, you want to cross the left over the right side, and then you want to twist it underneath, and then you want to cross the right side over the left side, and twist it underneath. Similar to your shoelaces. You should end up with this knot here.
That's how you tie a reef knot, everybody. But if you enjoyed this video, that's good. To let you know, I'm going to be posting again every week. I've got some new videos coming out. So if you've made it to the end of this video, congratulations, you now know. Yeah.